Jo was involved in nearly every major social change movement in our country from the 1930s up through her death in 1997. She came here and while she was still a teenager, got a job working as a laundress and formed America's first ever union of black women laundry workers. So she became active in the labor reform movement. And then she was involved in the environmental movement 20 years before the environmental movement. And then she got involved in the desegregation movement. And she actually got together and led the parents of the all-black Morgan School to come together with the parents of the all-white Adams School to form the Adams-Morgan model of desegregation for the entire South when everybody was dragging their heels after Brown versus Board of Ed. And then she co-founded the statehood party, the statehood movement with Julius Hobson for DC, saying that DC deserved to be, that it was high time for it to have democracy and to be the 51st state in this country. And late in her life, everything that she had worked on came together in her work in the land as the chair of what is now known as Washington Parks and People. In a way, she really was kind of the mother of communities all over the city and beyond because she had been such an inspiration. That's the thing I think that's most important to remember. Parks and People got started out of tragedy when a neighborhood boy was gunned down on Dr. King's birthday next to my home. It's actually at the same hour that Dr. King had been born many years earlier, at noon. Ricky Magnus had grown up on my block after his family had come here from Jamaica for a better life. And he died in the arms of my housemate, an emergency room physician, as she tried to save his life there in the tree box. At the time, we were the murder capital of America, and this neighborhood was the murder center. Right behind this building, actually, was the most homicidal block in the whole city. And the park was seen as the center of the problem. People had stopped going to the park because they were so afraid of it. They'd go for African Liberation Day or Malcolm X Day, but most of the time people didn't even go to the park anymore. We decided to start a crime patrol, not to be vigilantes, but to, after learning from some African American grandparents about the power of community, they had started a patrol where they were required to say hello to each other, and they couldn't carry anything that even looked like a weapon. We got them to train us, and we started patrolling the park. And because we had to say hello to everybody, we started learning. We started learning about community, about the memories of the elders, the dreams of the kids. And in the process, the park started coming back to life. Kids started coming back. We learned that it had been built as America's first national park for the performing arts, that the small group of people who were drumming were actually carrying on the spirit of what the park was really for, because people had forgotten. Police had cut down a lot of trees because they said it'll be safer. It wasn't safer, it felt like a prison yard. There was graffiti and it was just kind of a sad place. The government had given up on it. It turned out the community hadn't given up on it. They were just looking for people to stick their neck out and say that somebody cared. So Jo had a dream that our work in this one park could ultimately reach and serve playgrounds and parks and schoolyards and community gardens and trails all over the city, all over the region and beyond. You know, when she died, her funeral was at the bottom of the hill in St. Augustine. And I was one of the last ones to speak. I actually had her hat with me that had the buttons from her causes, just some of her causes, emblazoned on it. And everybody knew that hat. And so I held up the hat and I invoked her name. And it was like her whole spirit was being invoked. And the whole congregation, as I recall, rose. And her spirit rose there. And I said, we don't need a memorial to Jo because we are all, our city, our communities, our people are the living memorial to Jo. This building has actually helped support over 600 different charities coming in where we subsidize or donate program space. And then we've incubated 45 different organizations growing their work in communities all over DC since 1998 when we opened. One of our defining messages in the Park Center and in Parks and People and all the organizations that are here is think outside. Our work is not done. The Josephine Butler Park Center is a place to carry on and be inspired about and re-inspire each other continually about the work we need to do to make the world a better, fairer, more sustainable and just place for all.